What is going on out there? Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide Land. We have an awesome race for you today. My name is the Schwantz27. I am joined in the commentary booth by Papa Shango. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great this afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing awesome, and this is the Chaos Tournament of the Month Finals, pitting Narvs against last month's runner-up, Jefe. So it is going to be revenge time, maybe for him, or first time glory, perhaps for Narvs. So what is the Chaos Tournament of the Month? Well, you basically have a couple of weeks of different Chaos Seeds, and runners will get points based on their standing within each of the individual races. And this leverages the Seedbot's exclamation chaos command, or if we want to get really spicy, exclamation true chaos. And what this does is it randomizes most of the flags within a certain range, or for true chaos, it's really not really much of a limit for the sliders, and it's mostly 50-50 for certain on-off flags instead of weighted one way or the other. And today's matchup is going to be the exclamation chaos with mystery and loot as the parameters. So Papa Shango, you want to briefly touch on what mystery and loot means here?
Sure. So mystery means that the runners will not know all of the chaos flags that are on. They will know the objectives, so they'll know what they need for the Kefka unlock, and they will know any extra objectives or challenges that they may need, but they will not know things like the scaling, the magic available shops, loot, things like that. Or the loot one is that it randomizes the drops and steals 100%. So we're going to not have the vanilla drops and steals.
Yeah, so this is going to be a fun ride. Me and Papa Shango are going to try and talk to you in the chat and everybody about what the flags might be that we're seeing based on the behaviors that we might be able to glean from what the runners are doing. But we have no idea what the flags are. So things like, for instance, if we go to a free check and we find that it is a high tier item instead of a character or an Esper, we may believe that the no free progression flag is on. Stuff like that. So we're gonna make our best educated guess here. And as you can see on Jefe's screen, the flags are hidden. We have no idea what they are gonna be. We do, however, know what the Kefka unlock is, and it's 2 of these 3 things. So 9 characters, 14 Espers, or 3 dragons. There's also a couple of random objectives that were rolled, and the first one you see there is quite alarming on Narvs' screen. Auto Muddle happens to your party after 4 checks, so our runners are going to be looking for either ribbons or peace rings. Otherwise, I don't know how you're going to actually fight anything. High tier armor is available after 4 characters, and then the Magitech upgrade, if we get Magitech in the pool, thank you so much, Narvs, for scrolling down even though you can't hear me, is after 5 bosses. So, Papa Shango, I think we're going to see some shopping, especially stopping in the relic shop to mitigate that first objective there.
Oh yeah, I definitely expect to see people really going out of their way to check for those relics. Possibly, if they can't find them, even go into the Coliseum. Although I don't know how they would do it with an auto before they get to the 4 checks to see, if they have to, just to really dig deep for something.
Yeah, if you definitely want to do it before you get to 4 checks. So the first 4 checks will be okay. The other ones, not so much. So this is the Chaos flag set, and we're going to try and figure out, what the settings are as this goes along with everybody in the chat here as well. And it looks like we have started, so we do get a Schrago, Setzer, Edgar start. We've got a couple of tools with us and a couple of starting items as well. We'll see. We got Runic. We do have Magitech. Wow, that is huge to get right off the rip here, Papa Shango.
Oh yeah, that's a great thing. And then the stats looked like they were fairly normal. I didn't see anything. They went through it pretty quick, but I didn't see anything completely out of line on the stats there. So I think we might have some standard stats.
Yeah, so Runic, Magitech, yeah, I agree. The stats they went pretty easy on our runners here. And let's see.
Loading continents available. It might be an open world.
Oh, I see Lone Wolf, and we do not have Mog. So there was what were we talking about before? There is I
think a 1 in 8 chance for an open world.
Right, so there is a 1 in 8 chance that open world is picked, and it looks like that's what was picked here in this seed. So checks are not gated by character in this particular flag set, so that'll be interesting. Wow.
That's a cheap cat hood.
So that means that, so in the vanilla game, there are certain items that you could sell for 0 because the game wanted you to hold on to them. And usually they were the very, very best of the best high tier items, right? So in Worlds Collide, what that means is one of those very best of the best items, if they get shuffled into shops, they will cost basically nothing. So that's why we got Genji armors and cat hoods for sale for almost nothing there. So you'll see a lot of things. So this means the no priceless items flag is definitely on here. And we do get a starting Esper as well. So let's bump
Did
up
that Esper have any spells on it?
I didn't see it. It was Bahamut, though. So that is a good one. We could see if we could multi-summon that per battle. So we also started with a boatload of cash, I think, right? Almost 70,000 GP. And Narvs here is trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Man, there is so much action. It's crazy right now.
So with the open world and the 9 characters and 3 dragons, I expect them to probably get the dragon for the unlock, and then do either the characters or espers. Probably the characters, but with the open world, they can really probably check the esper or item checks only, and might be able to get to those espers first.
Oh, eggs.
Well, there's an EXP egg.
Eggs for sale. GG. So yeah, so we're gonna get a lot of levels in this seed. One thing that I would do, Papa Shango, as my strategy is with that 3 dragon requirement, I would knock the dragon checks out of the way right away. I know they're a bit longer, but this would mean doing Ancient Castle, going to do Mount Zozo, going to do the World of Ruin Narsh loop with the Yeti check. We did see it was peaked by Narvs.
There's some fixed dice.
Oh, fixed dice on the cheap there as well. Narvs did peak the Yeti check, and there was not a character there. So if this were me, if I was running and noticed it's open world, I would do those 3 checks that have dragons in them and then wait and see what I've got. Because if I get, massive amounts of espers for those checks, then I do what you had said before, is lean on those checks that are esper item only to get my go mode as fast as possible. However, there is a caveat, and that is if we only have 3 characters in Kefka's Tower, we're going to be 1v1ing some bosses, so we'll have to see exactly how this pans out. What would your strategy be, Papa Shango, if you kind of deduced what was going on here in this seed?
I would probably definitely do some of the free checks like the sealed gate here with all the looting, trying to find the ribbons or peace rings would be my first goal. And then kind of see maybe what the free checks, if the no free progression is on or not, try and figure that out. I would be wary of going straight to dragons before I get my ribbon or peace ring, just because I wouldn't want to necessarily push through my 4 checks too quickly. And they'd also be careful of doing the free checks too early, like Narvs is doing. So I guess that's probably, I haven't done a lot of chaos, but that's my first, what I think I would do.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. You don't want to get too many free checks too early, because like you said, once you get to 4 of them, you're going to need a peace ring or etc., etc. And
we also don't know what the scaling is quite yet, so we'd have to be careful on that.
Yeah, so Jefe is going to show us what the scaling might be based on how quickly these enemies go down here. So there is level scaling, and then there is HP scaling, and they can be separate things. So these enemies can be pretty low level, but so far they're looking pretty thick, if you ask me here, as they're absorbing a lot of damage.
Yeah, definitely looking like they're a little tougher. Another thing I might do is maybe prioritize checks with bosses, since we can get the Magitech upgrade after 5 bosses.
Yeah, that is a great call there as well. So not only making sure we get our 3 dragons, but prioritizing boss checks as soon as possible. And we do get a Magicite there, shout from the Sealed Gate Cave, so now we've deduced that the no free characters in Esper's checks is not on. And that was also an empty Esper, am I right?
Yes, that's what I saw.
Oh, hello, 0 MP Warp. So we don't need to go find Warp Stones in this seed either. So there is a flag for Warp All, and it will be turned on. and that means you can get 0 MP warp. And unfortunately for Jefe, his entire party's looking a little green there, or at least most of his party.
And it looks like he's able to get through it. Now, I didn't check when Jefe was in the equip menu, because Edgar's got those fixed dice set. Strago's got a scimitar equipped, so I don't... if everyone can equip everything, that could be possible.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it, because I know that the fixed dice wasn't equipable by all. 46k for a glowing stone there. And hey, we got Genji gloves, and we got a ton of fixed dice, so it's gambling time, folks. So Y NPC is not set to remove. Jefe just hit Y on an NPC, and I think it might have sketched it or just changed it into something different. So that's another thing to check for, is if you could sequence break, and it doesn't look like we can, but that doesn't matter anyway because it's open world, right? So
some red caps for sale, getting some good stuff.
Yeah, so with the no priceless items flag turned off, I am having a feeling, or what I would do is I would head to shops and I would just stop looting altogether. There's no point in looting if you can go look at shops for, you know, very, very cheap, ridiculously good items here. We saw Genji armors, Genji gloves, fixed dice. So we
go some pretty cheap thunder rods over here on Narv's side.
Okay, so the more expensive rods flag must be off as well. And we started out with a ton of money. I don't know where the heck it all went. Narvs had more. All right, trip to Miranda here for Jefe. Something you don't normally see, but like I mentioned, with the shops having those quote-unquote priceless items in it, this is a very, very small town that has both a item shop and a weapon shop and an armor shop.
Yeah, definitely going to those out-of-the-way towns. And then they got those cheap cat hoods. And right now it's looking like magic might not be available with the blank Esper, so they might want to earn some money and buy a bunch of those thunder rods just to have access to Bolt.
Yeah, comment from the chat from Arafis. If we go and buy up and gobble up a bunch of these really cheap items, we might be able to check the Coliseum as well. So that is a really good call there. I don't know if we have fixed dice, right? So we have a Coliseum build. The problem is, with the Warp All spell, that means your Coliseum user could accidentally nope out of the fight, which should be kind of a catastrophe here.
Oh yeah, that would not be great.
Oh, there we go. Merit awards, so now anybody can wear basically anything. So now the fixed dice fall under heavy items. I don't know how heavy those dice are, but if they're fixed, they got to be weighted somehow, right? So anybody can use the fixed dice with a merit award. So good pickup there from Jefe if we're going to lean on those fixed dice builds.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like we're probably going to be leaning a little more physical and then Magitech with the way these Espers are. Unless multi-summons on and we got Bahamut. Yeah,
Bahamut might cost us a little. It might cost us a lot. We're not quite sure because, again, the flags were hidden when they were rolled, and both of our runners here heading to all of the different shops around the world, as I mentioned, what I would have expected when I saw the priceless items here. Unfortunately, I don't think we found either peace rings or ribbons yet, correct?
No, I have not seen them.
I also haven't seen elemental shields in shops, so we know that rods are available on the cheap, but we don't know about shields. So that'll be something that we'll have to keep our eye on as well.
Yep, so far we've seen rods, we've seen experience eggs, we haven't seen any Illuminas or shields yet.
Ding, ding, ding. All right, so Jefe has found the keys to the kingdom there with the peace ring.
That's great. What town is he in? I didn't notice.
That's his World of Balance Mobliz. So they've got the peace rings. Yeah, so at this point, Jefe can now relax a little bit easier. He doesn't have to worry about the auto muddle after 4 checks. And he's got some levels under his party already. So we'll see what he decides to do now. With this open world setting, we can basically go anywhere. And it looks like he's going to peek Esper Mountain to see exactly what's going on here.
Yeah, and I like this out of him so that he can try and get... Oh, we got magic urns. Not going to help a whole lot with not being able to learn anything. But I like this with trying to get the Magitech unlocked, because with that Peace Ring, he just has the fight command. He's not going to be able to use magic anyways. So he's going to want to get that Magitech unlocked so he can get that.
So that random steals and drops coming into play there with a Force Shield, and that is an Umaro there. So we talked about a Coliseum build. There is a Coliseum build right there. Because you, Umaro can't cast Warp, so yay. Alright, so Hefe's going to start this first fight here, and given that this is a Yeti reward, I'm guessing he's probably going to lean more towards character checks here, given what we've seen thus far.
Yep, definitely think that's a good call. And over on Narv's side, he found the fixed dice and the experience egg, so he will be on similar footing as Jefe once he gets going.
Yeah, so let's see what this boss is here, and it is a ghost train. So, will Jefe try and figure out if we can revivify or phoenix down this ghost train? Because remember, that is a flag, the no undead flag, but Imp hitting the deck there. And we'll see how tough these bosses actually are in just a second. Fixed Dice also doing some decent damage here, but that wheel attack, especially with all of his characters now in the front row, this might be a wipe here, unfortunately, for Jefe. And Edgar barely hanging on, 5 HP in a dream, and this is going to do it unless we get a block here. So our bosses...
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Our bosses seem to be a little tough, Papa Shango, rather, as Narvs is heading into World of Ruin.
Yeah, they do seem a little thick. And then I'm not super familiar with all of Ghost Train's moves. Is Flash Rain a normal move of his?
Yeah, it must be scaled from his AoE attack that he usually does. So, all right, we get another Esper there for Narvs. He's cranking up the progression, but remember, we don't know what the scaling is based on. It could be based on progression. It could be based on your character's levels. It could be based on the number of bosses and dragons you've killed. It could be based on time. We have no idea. If it's based on time, then our runners better get going. And unfortunately...
Oh, wow, that's a 21 battle curse shield.
That is a very large battle for the curse shield.
Now, Narvs has also done, I think, 3 checks now, and I don't think he found the Peace Ring. So he's going to be getting into dangerous territory here if he doesn't get something to unmuddle himself soon.
Yeah, we do know from Jefe that we do have Peace Rings available. They're in the World of Balance Mobliz town. Not a town you usually visit very often, but again, with this flag setting, having the auto muddle after 4 checks, and with the no priceless items flag off, I would be more interested in doing towns than in looting.
Yeah, definitely would make a whole lot of sense here. So hopefully Narvs can find a way to unmuddle himself here soon.
Yeah, because even if you start... So I've never used the auto muddle with not having something to mitigate it. So I wonder what actually happens if you start the fight auto muddle. Do you just hit yourself and get out of it right away after 1 turn? Or are you continuously confused? That would be something interesting to do like a science experiment on.
You know, that would be pretty interesting. If given that case, maybe you give some guy if you find an offering or Genji glove with some weak weapon or just his fist, and maybe he would just unmuddle everyone. But I guess we'll see how it works.
Heal rod strats, let's go. All right, so Jefe is going to go for turn number 2 here against the Ghost Train. Did end up unimping his party here. And this fight, unfortunately, is not going to give any XP, only gives MP, but I do remember these guys dropped those Force Shields there, so maybe he wants 2 more of those Force Shields to maybe survive that AoE attack from Ghost Train.
Yeah, I would definitely be try to farm a few of those on this one. And then on Narv's side, looks like he found a Pearl Rod, but it was pretty expensive. So I think it was 14 or 15,000 versus the 4 or 5,000 of the Thunder Rods we found earlier.
Yeah, the Pearl Rods are generally the more expensive ones naturally here. So we'll see if this Ghost Train gives Jefe some trouble. I think Histrego, you said, is using the Scimitar, so maybe we can get an instant death proc from that Scimitar.
That would be great. Let's see. Nope. Getting some decent rolls from Setzer here. Oh, not on that one. Oh, and it goes down.
Yeah, so the first roll was, a 4-digit roll, so that was a good one for him, and he's going to get his Yeti, so that is our first extra character of the seed. And the stats look like they're pretty normal, like you had mentioned before. I don't think they're randomized a lot from what the vanilla base stats are. And getting that fourth character, we fulfilled one of our objectives, which is to get 4 characters, and that means you get a high-tier armor, I think? Yes, high-tier armor.
I believe it was high-tier armor. And then over on Narv's side, he found some ice rods. So now he's found thunder rods, ice rods, and pearl rods, although they're spread around the world pretty far.
Yeah, so one of the annoying things with the priceless items flag is that a lot of crap that you would sell for a lot of money is not going to be worth anything. Like, if he tries to sell those Doom Darts, they will sell for probably 1 versus what they normally would sell for. Right? So that's one of the more annoying things about the...
Oh, and there's some ice shields. He just bought 99 of those.
Oh my god. Alright, so we do have elemental shields in shops, and they are very cheap, as you saw, so that is what Jefe is going to do for most of the rest of the seed here, I would guess, is just eat ice shields at the problem.
Yeah, I would think so. With ice shields and fixed ice, he's really got a way around most problems he's going to run into.
Alright. He also has those peace rings, too. Narv's still looking for those peace rings here. So a peace ring or a ribbon would mitigate the auto muddle, which comes after 4 checks. So that's in the front of our runners' minds here.
Yeah, it definitely seems like that's what Narvs is hunting for right now before he does any more checks, because he kind of blitzed through some checks and he's going back to do his shopping, and my guess is really looking for something to take care of that.
Jefe, meanwhile, in World of Balance Narsh here. So normally we would peek our monster in a box in the classroom here to look for an offering for those fixed dice, but we do have shuffled and randomized drops and steals, so that means our Katana Soul will probably not drop us an offering, so there's no reason for us to check the monsters in a box here in this seed.
So with the open world, Schwantz, would you have a preferred area you would want to go to for maybe, dense checks or anything like that? What do you think? Where would you go with an open world?
Well, I would reset out of this fight here. But this would be a good area to go to generally, because World of Ruin Narsh and World of Balance Narsh, they each have several different checks in one contained location. Jefe is going to roll the dice here and try and get rid of this Magi Master. I probably would have cracked that Ice Shield first turn, but we'll see if the fixed dice pull through for him.
Yeah, definitely cracking the shield is good if you can do it, but sometimes Umaro's got a way of messing that up. If you get taxed before you can throw it and we get a wall change off.
Yeah, that pesky Yeti always thwarting our plans. So it looks like Jefe he does have Runic on standby for Strago, but Magi Master may or may not be able to cast something that can be Runicked, right? Due to the way that elemental scaling works in Worlds Collide.
So far, he doesn't seem to be having too much of a problem with it. He's gotten lucky with what Magi Master is casting at him.
Yeah, so the fire magic has seemed to be absorbing, or Jefe seems to be absorbing it. I don't know if that is a shield property or maybe an armor property that he has. But
well, he's got ice shields on everyone, so I saw red jackets for sale, I believe, so he might have those going.
Yeah, red jacket will nullify fire magic, it won't absorb it, and he's absorbing fire magic, so I'm not quite sure what type of shenanigans he has on there. Maybe it's those rage rings that he bought, because the rage ring will absorb fire, nullify lightning, and then the ice shield will absorb ice. So that takes care of most of Magi Master's attacks. And there is the 6s! Everything's coming up Jefe today, taking down Magi Master there. And Narvs finally gets those peace rings. Oh wow, that is calmness protection, Fenrir as well. Yeah, so
HP 100, and yeah, definitely another empty Esper. So it's looking like Espers don't teach spells here.
but having Fenrir is huge, and it's a very tough fight to get that Fenrir. Like I said, I would have just noped out right away. But now knowing what I know about Jefe's build is he's basically nullified 3 of the main elements, fire, ice, and bolt, with his usage of those rage rings plus the ice shield. So Magimaster is never going to be a problem for him. So really nice heads up play there from Jefe to know what your weaknesses or what the boss weaknesses are and how you can mitigate them a bit.
Now, something I'm noticing Jefe is not doing, if he's got a rage ring and a peace ring on, and he just put the muscle belt on Umaro there, he doesn't look like he's equipped any of the experience eggs.
Yeah, he probably is rightfully going to ditch Yeti as soon as he gets a 5th character here. Because with the different builds that we've seen thus far, there's no reason to have Yeti in our party past this initial sort of spree.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but it also seems like he may not have the experience eggs equipped on the other characters either.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so the only reason you wouldn't equip an experience egg is if you know that your enemy scaling is based on your own party's levels, right? But I don't think that that's the case as of yet. It's very difficult to tell what scaling is. It's either going to be, enemies are really tough or they're not as tough. And it's hard to tell if it's based on your levels or based on how much progression you have, unless you actually know. So that's going to be a difficult thing for us to determine here, Papa Shango.
Yeah, definitely. Although these enemies don't seem to be horribly strong to him anymore, so the scaling may be a little lower than we initially thought.
All right, Ghost Sprite here at the Imperial Camp. Isn't it amazing that we have open world and both of our runners are at the same check at the same time?
Yeah, it just goes to show you, I guess, how good of a check Imperial Camp is in the beginning of the game.
Yeah, 4 forced encounters, no bosses here, and usually regular enemies are not going to be a problem for our runners.
No, now that we got those peace rings in hand, the guys looking like they're going to be able to move through these grind fights, hopefully uneventfully.
Yeah, so we'll see which one of our runners decide to go after dragons or not. There are some pretty accessible dragons that aren't necessarily tied to checks. There's 2 in Kefka's Tower. There's 1 at the Opera House, and then I guess you could argue there's 1 in World of Ruin Narsh, but there are 2 other checks that are up there. So it is kind of easy to knock out the 3 dragons without also having to do their checks, but like I said, I think my strategy would have been, let's go do the dragons and let's see what the game gives me from there.
Yeah, definitely. On the other hand, you never know, maybe the game just hands them a whole bunch of characters and espers, but yeah, I knock out those dragons too, probably try and see what the rewards are from the dragons.
If you're interested in joining the next month's Chaos Tournament of the Month, head on over to the Discord, and at the start of the next month, which is already almost September already, geez. Watch for an announcement from JS8271986. He is the person that is the organizer for the Chaos Tournament of the Month, and you can join it too and have some fun trying to figure out what the heck's going on. Not every Chaos Seed has hidden flags. Some of them, the flags are fully visible. In fact, in the other 2 races during the month, the flags were fully visible. They were just kind of nasty.
Yeah, it definitely seems like a fun tournament, and definitely a good change of pace from your Ultros League flags, and even the Kefka Grand Prix. It's a really good way to learn all the different flags and options there's available in Worlds Collide.
Yeah, having that game knowledge to figure it out is definitely something that could be a lot of fun here. And yeah, Narvs is getting a ton of levels with that experience egg on here at Imperial Camp.
Yeah, he's definitely going to get a level advantage over Jefe, because Jefe looks like he put muscle belts and peace rings on.
Yeah, muscle belts will increase your maximum HP by 50%, and the easiest way to not die, Papa Shango, is to have health. Ooh, this is not a fun fight with the Yeti in the party here. The Rex Soul. But, yeah, there we go. It's time
Just
for...
use one of the 95 ice shields to be able to take care of it.
Yeah, so that's going to be a huge advantage for Jefe there. Finding those ice shields. I think they were in World of Ruin Colingen, if I remember correctly.
I believe you're right.
But yeah, so the last two seeds in the Chaos Tournament of the Month, the enemy HP scaling was based on your party. One of them was ×2, and one of them was ×2.5, which meant you were going up against some chonky bosses. Bosses took a very long time, and the seeds took well in excess of 2 hours. I think one of them, I think the winning time was 2.5 hours, and another one was just over 2 hours.
Yeah, that's a long time. It really puts your stamina into question there. But so far on this one, that was a single ice shield. Took out Rexol, so the scaling looks like it is not too bad right now.
Alright, so Narvs did pick up a cursed ring from a shop there and is deciding to put it on one of his characters here to learn X-Zone.
Well, we'll see if he's able to learn that, because
right.
I believe Jefe's got a bunch of ice shields on, and he hasn't learned Ice 2 yet. So, and I haven't seen any AP being rewarded from these fights, so is that a flag that's possible?
Yeah, so it could be possible that you don't learn any magic at all, and here is another character for Narvs. That is Terra with Shock.
Oh, that is a great ability to find, especially with this low magic.
Yeah, so throw that Enhancer on her, and it's Shock time.
And meanwhile, on Jefe's side, we got a Goddess in the Sky. Always tough to find on this one because you don't get the pincer attack.
Yeah, so unfortunately, Strago and Setzer, our white-haired crew, napping on the job here. I guess Wet Yeti could be considered a white hair part of the crew. But there is the love token, so this is going to turn south very quickly on Jefe, unless he starts cracking more ice shields. So we'll see how much HP Goddess has here. And it is a Three Stooges fight for Narvs. So we did get Terra, but we got to get past this fight in order to keep Terra.
Yeah, I'm thinking Narvs might not have too bad of a time on this. He's got Ice Beam, he's got Shock. He's got some decent... Oh, did Goddess just cast Ultima?
Ultima out from Goddess, and that is a party wipe there for Jefe. Yikes. You hate to see it happen. Yeah, so let's not try and fly into Doomgaze this seed, huh?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to avoid that one for sure. So what flag caused her to cast Ultima, especially so early in the seed?
So the elemental ability scaling must be cranked way down so that you get stronger spells earlier on in the seed. So that'll be something very interesting to watch, especially in Kefka's Tower. Alright, we do have a lock at the bottom of Fnatic's Tower here. So unlike the Goddess fight, the Yeti is very good in Fnatic's Tower because of his inane berserked characteristic. So Jefe probably going to take the dragon on the way up and then kill whatever the boss is at the top.
Yeah, but with no magic, he's only going to be able to throw these shields. So I guess we got to hope we don't get an ice dragon or the Inferno's little brother. I don't remember what number he is. Something that just absorbs ice.
Yeah, that's a great point. I did not even think about that. So it's either lean on Yeti or yeet some shields at the problem. Because just like in the vanilla game, Fnatic's Tower means you can only use magic.
Meanwhile, it looks like Narvs is hopefully going to get through this fight here. But yeah, we're definitely seeing that elemental scaling at work here because Mo is casting some high-tier magic. Ooh, and we got the gold dragon here, a very aggressive dragon, so he's going to have a hard time.
But the good news is that he is not, he's not immune to ice magic. There was lots of double negatives in that sentence. It was horrible by me. So Gold Dragon can go down to these plethora of ice shields that we have. So we're just going to crack a bunch of those, get one of our dragons out of the way. So for Kefka unlock requirements, we need 2 of those 3. 9 characters, 14 espers, or 3 dragons. So it's not all 3 of them, it's 2 of those 3. So we'll see which one of those 2 our runners pick, and that's the first dragon of the seed down.
Yeah, great job there by Jefe. I would think he's going to go for the characters. He's already got he's going to have 5 characters by the end of this. And with those espers not teaching any spells, he's already got calmness protection. He probably just needs to put his foot down looking for the characters.
Yeah, completely agree. You've got probably the thing that's going to elude most people in this seed because of the open world nature of it is calmness protection.
Yeah, definitely. And then it's looking like the item rewards must be the standard, because it looked like there was a pearl lance in that box at the top, and you got a gem box from the dragon. So I'm not sure if they're going to go out of their way to get too many free checks or extra dragons.
Yeah, so we do know that free checks can reward characters or espers, because we did see the end of the Sealed Gate Cave giving us an esper for narvs. So it's not a no free progression seed. However, Fanatic's Tower is always going to give us a character or an esper. And we did see it was Locke at the bottom, correct?
It was Locke, yeah.
Okay.
So we'll see if he unequips the Yeti when he gets to the bottom or not, too, if he's going to take Locke into the party. Although I feel like the Umaro is not a terrible character to have with these flag sets, with what we've seen so far.
Yeah, but we have 80 plus ice shields, and Umaro can't do that sort of damage, right? So I'd rather have a character that can just crack ice shields all day long.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
All right, so Narvs is going to get his Esper, I believe, at the bottom of Barren Falls, because we saw this on Jefe's screen. Jefe is going to grab Locke from the bottom, and we'll see if we do some party shuffling, as you mentioned there.
Yeah, definitely. This is one of those checks where when you get down to the bottom, if you're going to ditch a character, it's a good opportunity to go into your menu and unequip them before you switch the character out, so you can save some time from the airship doing it.
Yeah, so one of the nice things about some of the espers we're getting, we've got Odin, so that's instant death, right? We did mention that that curse ring is basically useless because you can't learn any magic, it seems, in this particular seed. Remember, the flags are hidden and we don't know what they are. So we're just making guesses based on the behaviors that we're seeing on the screen here. So we're not going to have any access to any magic at all, it seems, in this seed. So our Esper summons are going to be key for what we do in our final fight. We've got Bahamut. I think Fenrir was from defeating Magimaster at Welk. And we do have Odin from Barren Falls. So we at least have instant death taken care of for our runners here.
Yep, let's see if... oh, good. And Narvs is going to use Odin here. Let's hope it hits. Meanwhile, on Jefe's side, it looks like he found a ribbon in one of those boxes he checked on the way down. We'll see if he swaps a peace ring out for it.
Yeah, so what's interesting here is Ghost Strain did not get instant death with Odin. So we still don't know if the no undead flag is on, because neither one of our runners tried to Phoenix down the Ghost Strain. I think when you play enough Worlds Collide, you kind of forget that you could actually do that sometimes.
Yeah, that's something that the Moogle Cup flag set will actually teach you to check a lot more often or use, because it comes in very handy there.
Alright, so Block has Blitz, so the question is, are we going to bother going to go to the cutscene to try and learn Bum Rush, or are we just going to use him as an Ice Shield thrower, basically? We'll find out what Jefe's plan is for him. Because there is, again, another flag in Worlds Collide where normally Bum Rush is set to be the last blitz that you always learn, but that is, again, a flag. So if it's turned off, you can go right to Duncan's house at the very beginning of the game, and you can go find out whether or not you can learn Bum Rush or not.
Yeah, I think that might be worth checking out just so you can have some non-ice damage to send out there. And it looks like we're getting a stop to the Coliseum. Let's see if we got anything good here.
And, oh, we got Thunder Shields, Snow Mufflers.
I like this from Jefe because we've got, he found a bunch of 4 shields. He's got ice shields. Good physical defense would be good to have.
Yeah, we'll see if anybody can wear that snow muffler. Alright, well, at least one person can. So that's good enough for Jefe there. Meanwhile, Vargas in the Apple Toy lets the eye poos for narvs. And this is at South Figaro Cave. And hey, you can flip an ice shield for a flame shield. So if Jefe wants to do this, like, oh, I don't know, 40 more times, he certainly can.
He could definitely spend a lot of time here and get another element off, it seems. But yeah, spending a lot of time there. This is at least an easy...
Oh, no. Setzer pick dance instead of fight here.
Just challenge this Ralph to a dance-off. We'll see who can win.
Meanwhile, Narvs picks up Go-Go at South Figaro Cave after that boss fight, so now he's up to 6 characters. So, even more characters on our way here, and we'll see if he checks the South Figaro prisoner spot. I'm guessing that's what this is here.
And it looks like he's rushing a lot of free checks, so he might, with those experience eggs, he should get his levels up pretty high, even with taking a bunch of free checks. And right now it looks like our boss scaling has got a bunch of glass cannons, so we'll see how that pays off. As long as he gets to the levels he needs to beat Kefka, he should be able to go pretty quick.
Yeah, I'm going to look up and see if the final Kefka battle can be scaled here in the Chaos setting, so I'm going to be looking somewhere else for just a second, and I'll let you know what I find here.
All right, meantime, Hefe's having a hard time over here. I don't think he checked the dances before this fight, so I'm not sure if he's got any dances, any moves in this dance that's going to actually damage this Ralph because Snowball is a percentage damage. It's not going to actually kill this guy.
Okay, so the final battle can never be scaled on just regular Chaos Flag because the weight that it's gotten in the code is 0. So final Kefka is always going to be scaled. Always going to be unscaled. And there you go. Narvs finds his plethora of ice shields there.
And Jefe finally gets through that Ralph fight from the self-damage, and cutting him in half with the snowball eventually got there.
That is not a pleasant way to die. You ever been pelted to death by snowballs?
No, it reminds me of my childhood getting snowballs pelted at me from my older brother. Didn't quite die from it, but it builds character.
Alright, I did not see what was at Gao Manor. I don't think it was a Magicite, though, because according to his tracker, he is still at 6 and 6. I think it was a Genji armor, if I saw that real fast.
It was a Genji something.
Yeah. Good, I'm glad I'm not the only one that just blocked that out of my mind.
Yeah, see the word Genji and just kind of move on.
Yep. Alright, so loading up his party with ice shields.
Alright, heading into the Dream is a nice three-part check with only 2 bosses. It goes decently quick, so this is a good one to jump into.
Yeah, so this is a multi-part check here with Doma Castle. I wonder if our runners will do any of the other 3-part checks, right? Because Floating Continent is a guaranteed 2 pieces of progression, but it is also arguably the longest of the 3-part checks in the game. So I'm not sure we'll see either of our runners do that. And then Magitech Factory, I don't think we're going to have a lot of them go to the end, because the Magitech upgrade unlock in this seed, remember, is on 5 bosses? Yes, 5 bosses.
Yep, 5 bosses. And over on Narv's side, he's ran into the Magimaster. Looks like he's going to throw an ice shield at it, and he's going to go for it, this will be good for him, because this is Fenrir behind this.
Yeah, with access to Shock, which is non-elemental damage, with access to Fixed Dice, which is defense ignoring damage, I don't think this Magimaster will be a problem. It'll just be a question of, can he survive any attacks that Magimaster brings out? Terra will be fine, because I believe she's got the Minerva on. It'll just be the other 3 that I'm worried about. Meanwhile, it's Welk here at Doma Dream number 1.
Yep, and Jefe opting to throw dice at the problem and have Strago go chopping instead of breaking an ice shield. Maybe he thought he was going to die faster.
Yeah, so here's one of the interesting things, Papa Shango, we can kind of talk about now, is that Fixed Dice is very, very good early on because the damage ceiling is so high. But as you tend to get later on in the game, it kind of falls off a bit because that damage floor is so low that you could do better damage with other pieces of equipment. So do we think we see either some more shopping or maybe some more other out-of-the-way things to try and get ourselves some more reliable offense than fixed dice later on?
They definitely might do that. Oh, that's good. Found Siren on Jefe's side. So now he's got Calmness Protection, Instant Death, and Mute all ready for the final battle. So really, he just needs to get his unlock now. But yeah, definitely would be nice to find more physical weapons to use. But they've gone to a lot of shops already and haven't found anything in there. So I'm not sure if they will keep doing that or not. We'll have to see.
Yeah, one of the things that could happen is there is a flag that removes things like Illuminas from shops. So we might not be able to find them in there at all.
Yeah, definitely. And as long as he doesn't run into anything ice absorbing or ice immune, he really can just throw those ice shields really all the way to the end of the game.
As Arifis points out in chat, we did get our 5th boss there on Jefe's side. So, well, both Jefe and Narvs, right? They both got their 5th boss. So that Magitech is now fully upgraded on our Edgar, I believe, is the one who has Magitech. So Tech Missile is yet another way that we can get through this seed, with Narvs having access to Shock from Terra, and both of them now have Tech Missile.
For sure, and I haven't been checking too close. They haven't gone to that Esper menu a whole lot to check any bonuses, but I don't believe I've seen any magic boosting Espers, just some HP. So that should do a lot of damage, but it's not going to get scaled up too horribly high, but it's still a great move.
There's another character there, that's Mog in Cyan's Dream. So Jefe will be at 6 characters as well.
Yeah, definitely moving along in the character. So I'm probably going to hit the characters, get the dragons, and get going. This seems like, Schwantz, you can tell me, I haven't ran a lot of these. This seems like it's kind of a little bit of a faster Chaos Seed than what you guys experienced earlier in the tournament.
Oh, definitely. And it had more to do with how tanky the bosses were. Our requirements were way lower than what we see here. But I think one of the seeds was 6 characters, 6 Espers, and 2 dragons, and yet that took us over 2 hours to finish because of how tough the bosses were. So sometimes it depends on, how the scaling rolls, and sometimes it depends on how high the objectives are. I think this being open world also helps out a little bit too, because we can just go to the fastest checks in the game and be done with it, right?
Yeah, I can definitely see how that would help. These guys are going all over the place now, and we got what Narv's doing Kefka and Narsh right now. I didn't see a character sprite there, so this will hopefully be an Esper form.
Alright, so that is Mog also having Blitz. So commands are not random unique, they're just random, it seems.
So with 2 Blitz characters, would you go check to see if you could unlock Bum Rush right now?
Absolutely. Because that's 2 basically endgame builds you have in your hands right away. We do have Tech Missile from Edgar that's doing some decent damage over there for Narvs. We'll just need to get, another sort of something. And if I was someone who had Go-Go in my party or Go-Go on my roster, I might consider substituting them in here because they could mimic that Tech Missile that Edgar is doing for some other damage. But Narv's deciding, Go-Go's got pretty weak stats, so we'll leave them on the bench. And unfortunately for Jefe, doesn't get the Duncan cutscene triggered just yet, so he's going to have to wait till level 42. But as we see on Narv's side, he's already level 41. So we might get there before long. So that's why it looks like Jefe is clearing out his Strago in preparation for putting Mog in the party here.
Yeah, and right now that decision not to put the experience egg on Jefe's side is because he'd be similar levels to Narvs right now and unlocking that Bum Rush, but he's still got a little ways to go. We'll see if he puts the egg on someone on Lock to get it going.
Yes, because it's both Lock and Mog that have Blitz, right? So.
Oh, there we go. He's putting the egg on Mog.
Yeah, so
and meanwhile, Narvs is down in the Moogle Mines. Looks like maybe getting another Esper. or at least not a character down here. So we'll see. Maybe he ends up getting the Esper unlock instead of the character, or maybe he doesn't do the dragons and does characters and Espers.
Yeah, unfortunately for Narvs, this World of Balance Narsh loop has been pretty unlucky so far. Yes, we did get Calmness Protection and Fenrir out of Welk, but Lone Wolf was 2 items, and Kefka Narsh was just Marvel Shoes, so this has got to be an Esper for Narvs to pay off here. Otherwise, that's 3 dead checks in this one area, and see you later, Strago. Wow.
That was a big hit.
You got bopped real fast there.
Well, Fumbaba's been working out. He skips leg day, but he's definitely been working on the upper body and just gave Strago a nice smack there.
Right to the solar plexus.
So that solar plex move, do you think he's just flexing?
So, what's really funny is they typed it like solar as in solar eclipse and then plex, kind of like a suplex. But there is a muscle, I think, in your chest called a solar plexus. So I think it's kind of like a play on words, like Funbaba just hit you right in the chest.
Yeah, he's punching you right in the solar plex, or maybe he just flexes those chest muscles and kind of smacks you with them.
That's it. He's a little Terry Crews at Strago, and Strago falls over.
All right, looks like Narvs gets through that fight no problem despite the hit to Strago.
All right, so that is an Esper for him, and by the coloration of the clouds here, it looks like Jefe in World of Ruin Narsh, so we're going to see a dragon and then 2 more checks here for him. Both of these will not be characters, because we did get to peek Yeti's check, and that's definitely not a character. So, and then Tritalk is Esper item only. So we'll see if Jefe continues on with this check, or if he warps out after just getting the dragon here.
Yeah, and this dragon shouldn't be a problem with all the ice shields. It's going to really just fly through this one, I would think.
Yeah, quad 9, so it should be 1 or 2 of these, and it should be done. Alright, Narvs, meanwhile, looks like Magitech Factory is the play here.
So what do you think? You think he's going to go all the way through this, or do you think he's going to do the first 2 and warp out?
So I think Narvs is not doing the dragons based on his gameplay behavior here. So he might be just doing all 3 because it's a guaranteed character Esper at the end. However, the first 2 checks are Esper item only, so he might be looking to go the 9 character 14 Esper route versus the, something and dragon route that Jefe is definitely going, because this will be his 3rd dragon here at the Opera House.
Yeah, and I saw Jefe was doing that Y fly, going nice and slow. He doesn't want to run into that goddess again.
No, thank you. I mean, if
one Ultima is enough for him.
Yeah, if she ultimated, 20 minutes ago, is there a spell stronger than Ultima that she can do now?
Yeah, not that I'm aware of. Just a bunch of Goners and Ultimas, I guess he's going to eat from that. So I definitely can see why he wants to take it nice and slow through the sky.
All right, boss fight here for Narvs. Well, at least Chatternuk doesn't absorb ice, but Chad is weak to fire and Pearl, so the ice not going to be double damage here. And then same thing with the Storm Durgan here. Weak to lightning.
Yeah, Narvs hasn't found either Lock or Mog, so but he's got the level, so we'll be interested to see if he finds one of those 2, if he puts him in the party.
Yeah, so between our 2 runners, I think we have 9 characters, right? Because Narvs doesn't have Lock or Mog. And, oh no, I'm sorry, we only have 8. No, I'm sorry, we do have 9. No. I can't count, I swear.
It's alright,
we have 8.
There's a lot going on here.
We have 8, because there's Gogo and Terra, right? And then Jefe has Mog and Lock.
Yep, those are the Gogo and Terra, the 2 that Jefe does not have, that Narvs does.
Alright, so that's a 3rd and final, well, maybe final dragon for Jefe there. So now he just needs either 9 characters or 14 Espers for Go mode. Mogray coming in with a raid for party of 2. Oh, hey, there's your magic power +2 Esper on Carbuncle there.
And it looks like he's opting to put it on Terra for shock instead of Edgar for the tech missile.
Yeah, that's an interesting call, because shock will tend to fall off a little bit more towards the end of the game, especially in Final Kefka, because its damage does get divided amongst all of the remaining enemies. So if there's more than one on the screen, it'll be divided in half.
Oh, and here's this number 128 where the ice shields aren't going to work. We'll see. Is he going to use it?
Yep, so we're going to find out the hard way that this is not going to work.
And he's queued up a lot of them.
That's all right. We've got a bunch of them. We could sacrifice them to the gods. All right, Halfway, meanwhile, did buy the Zen Thief Esper, so is up to 8 Espers there, and is going to rescue this kid for also not a character at Collapsing House.
Yeah, so he may, he's just going to may end up with an Esper unlock instead of character. So it doesn't look like he's necessarily hunting for one over the other. I guess he's just going to do fast checks and see what he gets.
Yeah, so that is totally a strategy that comes out of an open world seed is, let me just do the fastest checks I have, and then once I get to something, then I'll go and try and find the other thing. In this case, we already have 3 dragons, so it really doesn't matter what else we get.
Yeah, and that was interesting. Airfist pointing out in the chat, I did see that timer pop up when he went inside the collapsing house.
Yeah, so in Worlds Collide, there is a flag to disable the timers, or you could have it be the vanilla amount, or you could even randomize it. If you've ever tried to do the end of the floating continent in 1 minute, it's very difficult.
Oh, yeah, that would definitely be a tough one. And it looks like Narvs, I didn't see him do the mine ride, so it looks like he decided to warp out.
Yeah, so still chasing those Espers. He'll probably buy the Zen Thief here, just like Hefe did. And then we'll get another Esper from Collapsing House. So he'll be up to 12 Espers there.
And I'll be interested to see if he shifts gear, if he ends up getting 14 Espers before finding his 7th character, if he'll just go kill 3 dragons real quick.
Yeah, here's part of the problem with seeds that have the priceless items flag on, is a lot of the stuff you would normally sell for big ticket money, you can't sell. And trying to get to the amount of money that he needs to get that Esper is going to be a little difficult here. But I think he's at it now.
Yeah, I believe it was 40-something thousand, so he should be good.
Meanwhile, Hefe is looking around in shops for some more stuff.
What do you think he's looking for here?
I would have to assume stuff to equip his party with for the fight command. The shield throws will get you through Final Kefka, but the worry is what is in Kefka's tower that I can't get through by just throwing shields at the problem.
Yeah, for sure. He's just about at the level for Bum Rush too, though, so he should be getting that soon.
Yeah, so that might mean it's not a problem, right? If you put one Bum Rush user in one lane, one Bum Rush user in another lane, that'll take care of at least 2 of your lanes. And then we also have Edgar with Tech Missile, and that'll take care of your 3rd lane. So you have sort of your party set for the worst thing that could happen, right? Like what if you run into Tritalk in one of those 3 lanes? You can't just throw an ice shield at it.
Yeah, definitely. We've also got fixed dice if we have to, although like you said, it's a bit unreliable, difficult and slow to go with. And I think I did see some Dragoon Boots and a Dragon Horn out there, so but I guess with the auto model you can't use that combo. Never mind.
Yeah. So that's one of the things. One of your relic slots has to be eaten up by either a ribbon or peace ring here. And that certainly puts a damper on your offensive output potential, right? Because you're only wearing 1 earring if you're using magic. You're only wearing a Dragoon Boot and not the horn for multiple jump. So it's one of those situations where you get sort of implicitly nerfed by not having that 2nd relic slot open.
Yeah, for sure. So that almost guarantees when we get to our final fight that they will probably be eating some sort of Meteo or train counterattack, and then won't be able to bypass that phase.
Well, if we didn't have 90-something ice shields, I would agree with you. But I think a shield throw will probably do, close to max damage here with our runners. And it looks like we've got a Gao on our way down to the ancient castle. So remember when we were talking before, Papa Shango, about how does open world affect our routing with this flag set? If this were me, I would have done this check way earlier, and I would have gotten Gao much earlier than what we see Jefe doing here. Because I don't think he's going to go all the way down to Ancient Castle for the dragon, but we'll see.
Yeah, definitely an option. And then I guess with the open world too, they found some dried meat earlier. They could have gone and done that Velt check before it got too out of hand. Now it's a little riskier to do it.
Yeah, the Velt check is one of those constant sore spots where the more random enemies that you fight, the more difficult it is to have that Gao show up, because Gao only shows up in certain formations. And if you didn't fight anything, that single Lobo is a formation that Gao is okay with showing up in.
Ooh, we got Guardian over here to Garden Gao. Ice Shield is not weak to ice, but should still be able to handle it okay.
Oh, man!
Oh, that was a big attack.
Yeah.
Well, with those muscle belts on, I think he still has them on. He was able to eat it.
Yeah. So, yeah, if I had to guess, I would think that our enemy level scaling is pretty high because of the amount of damage that's coming out, but their HP total is not that high. And like we mentioned before, I think the elemental scaling is scaled such that they get their really beefy spells much earlier than they would in our standard racing flag set.
Yeah, definitely. But even with that, Guardian is taking a lot of ice shields here. So Guardian's a pretty beefy boy in general. It seems like even with the lower HP scaling, he's still real thick.
All right, Guardian down. That was Golem for Narvs. So he's now at 1 Esper from Go, but he still needs to get 3 more characters, and he's going to peek Mobless here and see what he gets. I missed what Gao had on him.
Oh, you know what? I was looking at Narv's screen too. I missed it. Hopefully someone help us out in the chat there, maybe. So yeah, Narv's with only needing 1 Esper, doing the peekables makes sense. And I don't think he searched the skies yet, so we'll see if he... Oh, that's a Force Shield, so I don't think he's going to be taking that away. That little girl has nothing to worry about. The Force Shield can continue looking after them.
Yeah. I wonder how the Force Shield's parenting skills are. I wonder if they're helicopter parents or not.
Yeah, they definitely are overprotective.
Alright, so Narv's going to get the bad news about what is at Search the Skies here.
And we'll see if he's more equipped to handle this, unless an Ultima comes out again.
Yeah, Ultima is kind of the great equalizer. However, if Strago puts up Runic, you can Runic Ultima.
I didn't know that. That would be a clutch move from the old man.
You could also Runic Hyperdrive on Final Kefka too. So if you ever get like a meat shield that comes in to your party and all they have is Runic and you're not really relying heavily on spells, just throw up Runic and they will be able to absorb some of those counters. Alright, so Goddess goes down to a bunch of shield throws. I think Narv's just had superior firepower and levels there, and unfortunately that is just a sparkly bit on the ground here. So that is going to be a dead check, but wow. That is going to be a helpful dead check with those experience eggs.
Yeah, that Atma weapon, even with only swinging 1 of them with no offering, should still be doing close to max damage by the end of this.
Alright, so Narv's heading Phantom Train here. It looks like he's really looking for that 1 Esper, and then, as you mentioned, Papa Shango going to go hunt down some dragons after he's gotten his Esper requirement. Comment from John in the chat. Yes, there is an HP plus 100 Esper floating around. I think that's actually the Fenrir Esper that's got it. And there you go. Esper number 14 for Narvs. So that's one of his 2 requirements knocked out there.
And yeah, John, they do have the HP boosting Esper, but I know when I first started playing, I don't know if you have this confused. I thought the Atma weapon was the inverse of the Valiant knife, so having a higher HP actually made it do damage, but that is actually not the case. It's based off your strength, and then you just lose damage. So the extra HP does help making sure your percentage stays higher when you take damage, but otherwise doesn't affect the damage of the Atma weapon.
Right. You will just do the maximum damage is when you're at full HP, and then it decreases in damage every HP you lose. So you'll just be doing higher attack, fight, command damage more often. It's harder to get your Atma weapon to stink, basically. That's what the HP plus 100 Esper will help do. It'll help mitigate those really low damage fight commands.
So the runners seem like they are not having too many problems with these fights. Those ice shields have been taking care of most things, and their offense and defenses, despite having no magic, they've been handling it pretty well, making sure that they're staying, pretty strong.
All right, Jefe here is heading to South Figaro Cave, and I believe Go-Go was the reward here. So we're going to see Go mode out from Jefe just momentarily once he gets past this boss. Because he'll have 9 characters and 3 dragons, and we'll see what Narvs decides to do after this 14th Esper. I think he's going to do, the same thing that you predicted, which was go fight the dragons. But oh no, another statue boss has entered the chat.
Get your spicy chickens out in the chat if you got it.
I have to resub in order to get mine out, so I will be able to do that in just a second.
All right, and these ice shields should take care of Poltergeist no problem, although despite it being a spicy, fiery chicken is not weak to ice, but the ice shields still do a lot of damage. We got Merton coming out, but yep, should be okay with those ice shields.
Yeah, even though the spicy chicken is technically weak to poison and not to ice, an ice shield will penetrate his very high magical defense. As one of the properties of breaking a shield is it will do a maximum damage tier 3 elemental version of whatever spell it is you're cracking. So, even on a very high magic defense boss like Poltergeist, like Rexol or Goddess, it's going to do a max damage type of attack. And there is Go-Go for Go mode for Jefe. So it'll be interesting to see what Jefe does. Does he go back and get Bum Rush or not? He is level 43, so I have to assume he's going to do that, Papa Shotgun.
I think he will too. He already checked on it once. I know I would do it because right now he's relying on the fixed dice still outside of throwing shields. So I think it probably is worth his time to go get it. And meanwhile on Narv's side, he's going in to do the Opera Dragon, so he's going to be not too far behind Jefe, especially if he goes to check out the Bum Rush, because he's got some pretty quick dragons he can go get.
Yeah, Papito, we call that Go-Go mode. I know in my recent race that we had broadcast on the Twitch channel, that was also my Go mode. I had Go-Go mode. Alright, opening Quasar from Storm Dragon, Rude. Now, so for our newer runners out here, when you get to level 42 and you have a Blitz character, you can unlock Bum Rush by going to Duncan's Cabin in the World of Ruin. You sit through about this 1 minute long cutscene, and then you have access to Bum Rush. I usually think it's worth it in most cases to sit through the 1 minute cutscene, because you're probably going to save 1 minute worth of time on the back end, or at least your Kefka Tower climb is going to be way more safe, having access to basically one of the best offensive attacks in the entire game.
Yeah, as long as your thumbs, cooperate and you can get the inputs correct. Bum Rush, for anyone that's on a fighting game fan, shouldn't have any problems with it. But every once in a while, it's you can get the incorrect blitz input.
Yeah, especially if you're trying to tap the buttons very fast. that can happen for sure.
So, Schwantz, what do you think? We got Jefe heading into the tower here. Narv's not too far behind. With Jefe's getting in there first, but Narv's levels seem to be a lot higher. Do you think that's going to come into play?
No, I think anything after level 40 is basically the same. So the fact that Jefe, I think, has got level 50 on one of his characters and 43 on the rest, he's going to be fine. He's just looking to get some stuff here. And it looks like Narvs is going to go maybe do a 2-and-2 approach, or maybe he's just diving the tower and splitting up his party. Yeah, it looks like he's going to split up the party as you normally would, and it looks like Narvs is into the tower actually first before Jefe. However, does not have Kefka unlocked right now. He needs to kill the 2 dragons inside of Kefka's tower. So
I really like this strategy from him. All of his characters are strong enough to solo a dragon, and so this is a really good move from Narvs. Yeah,
so Jefe here setting his party up so that he's got Blitz in one team, Blitz in another team, and then Magitech in another team. So we have Magitech Gao also. So a double Magitech, double Bum Rush party comp there for Jefe.
Yeah, that lane shouldn't have any problems, and if he really wants, he could put Blitz onto Gogo too.
Absolutely. You can customize Gogo's commands via the status menu, in case you didn't know, in Final Fantasy VI. So you can do it in Worlds Collide as well.
And it looks like Narv's still opening boxes here, maybe looking for a little extra healing, or maybe spiking an offering or something. Just lucky to go with that Atma weapon.
Yeah, so one interesting thing is he has to keep peace rings on everybody in his crew. Because remember, you get auto muddle if you don't. So some of these meat shield characters might actually be a problem, because we might not have enough peace rings to outfit everybody. So this will be really interesting.
Yeah, hopefully none of them aren't any strong. We could always just, kill them off at the start of the fight if he thinks they're going to be a problem.
Yeah, usually if your muddled user is just unarmed, they're not going to do very much damage.
I don't believe we picked up any heal rods either to give them.
No, that's one of my favorite strats. Alright, so here comes Narvs taking on the first of 2 dragons inside of Kefka's tower, or not. Or so. Yes.
Oh yeah, he almost ran right past him.
You need those 2 dragons, pal. Oh, do we only have 2... I think we only have 2 Moogle Charms. So that's one of the things that the Chaos Seed can throw at you, is normally you get 3 Moogle Charms to start the game, but in some Chaos Seeds, they might only give you 2, and you gotta go through the shenanigans of passing it around.
Yeah, that's a bit of an annoyance for anyone like me that has accidentally either gambled your Moogle Charm or sold it in a shop. It definitely... I did do that the other day in a race.
Oh yeah, I did. I did. I've done that before. Alright, so I think now we finally have the Moogle Charm over on the right person. There we go. Passing over the peace rings and the Moogle Charm. So, Barstool Pigeon letting us know that Jefe did pick up like 11 or so peace rings in that shop.
That's definitely a good move and good foresight from him to do that.
Alright, so while Narvs is fighting the menu boss, Jefe has just overtaken Narvs in terms of the tower walk. But does Jefe know that we only have 2 Moogle Charms? It looks like he did figure that out at one point.
Yeah, it's definitely one he's going to figure out soon.
Alright, so Narv's going to save here, going to take on Inferno, then probably switch to his other party and take on the Dragon. Nope, he's going to do Dragon first. So Narvs already has enough levels so that he doesn't really need the dragon on his full party. Here's the Skull Dragon. Is weak to Pearl and Fire. I believe this one absorbs poison based on its green coloration. So ice shields are going to be not a problem to take out this dragon here.
So luckily, yeah, ice can take care of most of these problems, and he's not being stingy with them. Although he's starting to run low. He's down to, I think, 53, 55 ice shields.
If he uses more than 50 of them in the next 10, 15 minutes, then I will be very surprised. Usually, like, you see that sometimes runners will buy, like, 70 shurikens. I usually tell people that I mentor, it's like, if you use more than 30, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, and there's the bum rush. Avert your eyes. So, apparently the graphical no flashes flag was not turned on for this one. I might have to have a word with Seedbot to make that a default option, because we're gonna have some photosensitivity warnings here for Jefe.
Yeah, I think that would be a good one just to turn off. And then I guess while we're fighting these two bosses here, speaking of mentoring, there is for any new people out there, a Moogle Cup tournament, which I believe the signups are pretty close to being full, getting ready to start another season of it. That's something that I participated in and definitely helped me a lot getting off the ground. Schwantz is one of our mentors. And definitely you can learn a lot from it. So if anyone that's new and interested in getting some coaching or mentoring, I'd consider signing up for that.
Yeah, one of my favorite things to do, because not only do, obviously if you're a mentee, you will learn some of the ins and outs of the game. But even as a mentor, I am learning new things all the time based on some of the questions that newer players have. And they'll have a different perspective perhaps than myself, and will question some of the things that I think are true. And sometimes they're not true. And it's definitely affected how I play the game as well.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely was a great experience. I thoroughly enjoyed it and definitely recommend it to anyone that is starting out and wants to get into the competitive racing part of Worlds Collide.
All right, so Jefe now has pushed the way. No, he's cleared the way for the weights. So he is slightly ahead of Narvs here, who unfortunately has to go toe-to-toe with this white dragon for his unlock. So Jefe just slightly in the lead here.
Yeah, but anything can happen when you get to that final boss. We still don't know what's in our statues either, waiting for us.
Yeah, the statues, well, we know, actually we don't know, because the bosses could be random instead of shuffled. I don't think we've seen repeat bosses yet, have we?
No, that's what I was just thinking. We have not seen any repeat bosses, so not saying it's not on, but if there's no repeat bosses, then Magimaster, Goddess, and Poltergeist and Guardian are out of the pool already.
Which is a pretty good set.
And we haven't seen Doomgaze, so you got to be careful of your levels going in here, especially after that when you get that long walk going to the Guardian spot before you can save.
All right, so that is the third dragon for Narvs, and that is his Kefka unlock there. So this is still anybody's match. It depends on execution now, really, and a little bit based on RNG. But Jefe with a slight advantage. It's normally very difficult to tell who's in the lead in a Worlds Collide seed because of how open-ended it can be, especially with an open world seed with that this one was.
Now, something we'll have to keep an eye on during the climb. Since Jefe has got Blitz, it's a bit untargetable, and there's usually a certain order on the final fight that you want to kill the bosses in to avoid the counterattacks. And Narvs has really just been throwing ice shields at the problem. So, if Bum Rush doesn't cooperate and you end up hitting the wrong things, maybe eat a Quake counter or something, he could run into trouble, and that's where Narvs could pick up some time.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a great call. So we'll see how that affects Jefe's order of operations here. Bum Rush doing a lot of damage, though. You can see how much stronger it is than Tech Missile. It's doing like 3 times as much damage, and usually Locke and Edgar have about the same magic power, so that just tells you how powerful Bum Rush truly is.
Yep, and I don't believe Hefe's had any of that magic boosting. I believe it was Carbuncle. I don't remember where Narvs got it from, but I think it was a check that Hefe did not do. So his magic power is
I
not
think
going
it
to be
was
as strong.
Magitech Factory, one of the two. So
Yep, that's right. I think it was
Hefe
Magitech
didn't
1.
go in there. All right, another easy boss here with Piranhas. So the middle lane was not a problem for our runners, and we're still going to have 2 more bosses after this one here.
Yeah, definitely the statue, the middle lane at least, being very kind to the runners.
Yeti there with the scimitar. So that'll be good for the next fight with Piranhas, because with Piranhas, basically they will appear anywhere from 5 to 55 seconds after you kill a batch of them is when Resopus comes out. In the vanilla game, it's like a set amount of time, so runners will usually wait for an audio cue. You can't really do that in Worlds Collide. You just have to wait basically every 5 seconds, and that's when Resopus may come out. So we'll see how long it takes. It always feels more like 55 seconds than 5 seconds, and it definitely seems like it because Hefe's been going at this one for a while here so far.
Yeah, definitely a long fight here. Not really a particularly hard one, just kind of a time-taking fight. There we go. He finally comes up. Luckily, he should go down pretty quick here.
Oh, yeah. 1 quad 9 dice roll, thank you very much, and move me on to the save point. Alright, we have 2 more bosses here that have to go down, and we'll see if either one of them will give either one of our runners problems. So I think Narvs has access to an Atma weapon from one of the dragon drops. We'll see if they decide to put it on any of their team. I think Hefe is going with the Technisol and Bum Rush strat here. Meanwhile, Narvs is going with the Yeeting Shields and Technisol strat.
Yeah, I'm using the healthy dose of shock and shields. So we'll see. I haven't noticed him use the Atma weapon. I don't know if he didn't put it on anyone or if he just hasn't bothered using it. We'll see.
Oh, no!
Oh, we got double bosses on her. I guess not necessarily double bosses, but they're available. So we could run into Magimaster again.
So this is a random encounter because Hefe forgot to put his Moogle Charm on and ran into a boss in the random encounter pool. So that's a bit of a fumble here from Hefe, giving some time back to Narvs because he's having to fight the Ghost Train as a random encounter. So one of the flags that you can do in Worlds Collide is random encounters can be bosses, or at least a percentage of them can be. And Hefe finding out the hard way that flag is on in this seed.
So does that mean if the bosses can be mixed into random encounters, does that mean that we can get duplicate bosses, or is that are they separate?
So you can both have duplicate bosses and them mixed in with random encounters, but it appears in this seed that we have bosses as shuffled and also mixed into random encounters, and the ones that are mixed into random encounters can be duplicated elsewhere, obviously by their very nature, right? So we already fought the Ghost Train, and since all the bosses are in one check apiece, that means that we have to have some sort of duplicate boss somewhere shuffled into the random encounter pool.
And this Ghost Train actually giving him some trouble, like he did the first time around. This Ghost Train so far has been one of the tougher fights that Hefe's had. He's still throwing the dice at it instead of throwing shields.
Yeah, so I wonder if the Normalize and Distort stats flag might be on, which buffs some of these earlier bosses, some of the World of Balance bosses. This Ghost Train has been pretty tough this seed. One easy way to determine if that flag is on or not is we'll see how much HP Girl has in the final fight.
And another newbie question for you, Schwantz, on these flags. When the bosses are shuffled into random encounters like that, can you run away Warpstone Smoke Bomb, or are they still unrunnable?
Yeah, so they still retain the unrunnable property that bosses do. All right, yet another Ultros. So we've seen 3 of them so far, right? In Kefka's Tower, it was Ultros 4 at Inferno, Ultros 2 at one of the other spots was a Guardian.
Yeah, he was in the Guardian spot.
And now this is Ultros 1. We'll see if we get the The quadfecta.
So it looks like Ultros is taking over for the Triad statues and hanging out. Kefka must really like him, keeping him around.
Yeah, unfortunately, not having that Moogle Charm on and running into that Ghost Train means that Jefe gave back some time over to Narvs here, who did get past Ghost Train faster than he did. Or not Ghost Train, Ultros. That's the actual enemy there.
And John Brickhead asking in the chat if he's out of Phoenix Downs. I don't think... Usually when your mule characters die, you don't bother bringing them back. So that just might be what he wasn't doing. I didn't check his inventory, but I think he's got plenty.
Yeah, so Terra is not in his final party. Unlike Narvs, where Narvs got Terra very early. So Terra was in Narvs' final party. And oh boy, here is a thick boss. French Vanilla from the toilet spot in the tower. Everybody's favorite puppy, Atla Weapon. Oh no, I'm sorry, This is just Atla.
Yeah, and with the elemental scaling here, he's already got some strong attacks he can use, so he could definitely take out some damage here.
Yeah, so Narv's throwing ice shields at the problem. Same thing with Jefe.
And I like that move that Jefe just did, moving his ice shields to the top of his menu so he knows he's going to be throwing a lot of these, just save some scrolling time.
Yeah, so Nara's actually doing way more damage with these ice shields than Jefe is. But I think that was because Strago is a lower level character for him than for Narvs.
Yeah, I think Narvs is into the 60s, possibly up to the 70s in his levels right now, so he is definitely up there.
Here comes a Quake. Alright. Able to survive that because of just the sheer amount of HP that his characters have. And that is going to be it for Atma for Narvs.
Ooh, nice work from Narvs there. I think he got to the fight slightly after Jefe, so he's definitely pumping out a bit more damage.
Yeah, breaking the shield is going to be faster than Bum Rush and Tech Missile, unfortunately.
All right, Schwan, so now we're getting ready to step on these switches. Want to explain the final fight?
Yeah, so the final Kefka fight here, as I mentioned, is not going to be scaled, but we don't know if the Normalize and Distort flag is on. That will affect the final fight. We'll see how much that will affect the final fight. But the tiers should be as they normally are, so no surprises there here. We do have access to Calmness Protection. Somebody has Siren. I think Jefe has Siren, or did they both get him? No, Siren was in Cyan's Dream. So only Jefe got it, because Hefe's the one with Mog. And look at this sync! Touching the statue switches at exactly the same time. Oh my goodness. Wow.
Oh yeah, you love to see this. With an open world, these Chaos Seeds, there's so many different options, but just to show you how good these runners are, they end up at the exact spot at the exact same time, despite the different routes they took and different methods.
Yeah, so put your guesses down in the chat of who you think will end up taking Kefka down first. Normally, we just say, what's the final time? But in this case, it's too close to call between these runners. Jefe just slightly behind. But we'll see who takes home the W here. So
it's definitely an exciting finish here.
Yeah, so tier 1 is going to be a physical tier, so we're going to have to make sure that our characters survive on the first tier here. All of the punches that we're going to be throwing at us. Narvs' characters have a stupid amount of HP, and so do Jefe's here as a result of all of those high levels. The long arm there is susceptible to instant death, so Xfer coming out will take out that long arm. Jefe using the Odin summon here, which is slightly faster, does take out that long arm. The head is weak to fire, but we've got ice shields, and it's doing about quad 9, and that's our first target that we want to take down. If we do not take down head first, he will death counter with Quake, and that is usually a party wipe, but at these HPs, it's not going to be that big of a deal. And then that balled up fist is actually weak to water, and ice and water are not the same thing. So we're going to see eventually here that fist does counterattack with physical damage.
And noticing that the level difference may be doing a little bit here because Narv's shields are doing quite a bit more damage than Jefe's. And also his characters are all equipped with these Marvel shields, so they should stay pretty healthy. Or, I'm sorry, Marvel shoes.
Yep. So Peace Rings and Marvel Shoes will make Narvs' characters take more turns faster because the Marvel Shoes, there are 4 different status effects it gives your characters. It gives them regen, haste, safe, and shell. So going to take less physical damage, going to take less magical damage, going to regenerate health, and going to go faster. But they're still very close to one another here as Jefe creeping up behind Narvs here. Narvs may have gained like 4 or 5 seconds in Tier 1, but that's about it as we're still very close. Anyone's game. But remember, Jefe has access to Siren, who can mute magic. So we'll see if that has an impact on Tier 2 here.
Yeah, the Tier 2 can definitely give people problems. This is where a lot of your time gets lost in a run, depending on if you get Doom Tusk. The Tiger there can do some nasty stuff when he gets lower health, like Doom Tusk and North Cross. If you can't mute magic, he can muddle one of your guys, and it definitely, or at the very least, his animations from casting all of his magic is going to slow him down.
Yeah, so Narvs is just cranking out those ice shields, and he still has 27 of them, so still has plenty of them to make it through the rest of this fight here.
Yeah, but he's definitely been tossing those out because I think he had 99, so he's used, 70 ice shields throughout the game?
Yeah, that is one of the best ways to deal damage. So Tiger is dead because Tiger is weak to ice, so he got dealt twice as much damage. Tools and Hit have about the same HP levels, so that's why Magic is still standing for Narvs over here. And we know that Hit is dead because of the 10 hits. N-Cross coming out from Tiger there is going to freeze our Edgar, and we do not have a way to unfreeze him, remember. We don't have any magic that we've learned at all throughout the seed. The only way to unfreeze him is with a fire spell. And that's Tier 2 done for Narv, so I stand corrected. I thought Jefe was going to make up some time here, but Narv's cracking those shields for way more damage than Jefe is, just cruising through Tier 2 there.
Yeah, Narvs was doing the multi-target shields and doing quad 9s on everyone there, so he really flew through.
Alright, so here's where we can determine about that normalize and distort stats flag, because Girl normally has 9,999 HP. If she has more, then we know that normalize and distort has been enabled for this flag set. Absorbs all elements and will both heal and bring the other part, Sleep, back to life. Sleep normally has 40,000 HP and will use Calmness as a death counter to kill off 2 of your characters. As we did hear Girl die there, and that was about, 10,000 HP, so perhaps the normalize and distort stats flag was not on in this particular case. So Narv's getting ready for the Calmness death counter by casting Fenrir here, and I think about 2 more ice shields later, he's got to watch out for Meteo, which is what Sleep may counterattack with if he's underneath 10,000 HP. So let's see how the rest of this fight goes as Jefe on Tier 3 here now, catching up to Narvs. So we'll see if he can get some of this time back as Meteo comes out. Not really in danger of dying here because of the high levels of HP. And let's see what he decides to do here. 1 more ice shield ought to do it. There it is.
Another great part of this, using the ice shield offense, really Train doesn't bother him at all. Just keep throwing shields and shock. So it really shouldn't matter to him if he gets trained.
All right, opening W win there. Going to take his party down to, or at least his Bog down to critical HP there. And Bum Rush did get the right target, so Jefe going after Girl here with a combination of Bum Rush and Tech Missile. He'll have to cast his Golem or Fenrir when the time comes. Meanwhile, Narv's fighting off against Final Kefka here, Tier 4. 60,000 HP. We'll cast Fallen 1 if we don't get more than 30,000 damage on the first turn.
I think we may bypass that here.
Yeah, but since the shields are doing about quad 9s, I think we'll be into counterattack phase after our 3rd turn here. Kefka can counter with Havoc Wing and Hyperdrive. if he's between 30,000 HP and 10,000 HP. When he gets under 10,000 HP, he may counter with Ultima, which even if that happens, still with the HP levels of Narvs, I don't think that's going to be a problem. And we'll charge up for his ultimate ability called Goner, which is what we're seeing right here. And this is when Kefka will not do any counterattacks. So I think 3 more shield tosses, and that should do it here for Narvs. And I think that's it. Time is on the crack, pow, and there it is. 131.02 is your final. GG's to Narvs, who ends up taking home the victory here and is the Chaos Tournament of the Month champion, grabbing the title off of my cold dead body since I won it last month. So GG's to Narvs. Tell him congrats in his own chat, and we'll see if we can get him in here for an interview. So Papa Shango, before he gets in here, I think the big difference was Jefe running into that ghost train accidentally with that Moogle charm off. I think you add that time back onto Jefe, and this is a super duper close race.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate, but I guess that's the danger of the 2 Moogle charms when you're used to having 3. Just something I guess you have to deal with in Chaos. And on top of it, during the final fight here, Jefe's still throwing some dice instead of just chucking shield, so it's a little slower sometimes.
All right, we are joined by Narvs, today's winner, Tournament of the Month Chaos finalist champion. Congratulations to you, good sir. GG's on your run.
Thank you. I wasn't sure. You know, it was kind of a who found the shields first, who found the peace rings first.
Yeah, so actually Jefe found both of those first, but you managed to persevere here. So tell us a little bit about your strategy, right? You have no idea what the settings are in this particular seed. You do know what the Kefka requirements are. Tell us a little bit about what your thought process was as you sort of like felt around in the dark a little bit here.
The first thing, of course, is since I don't know the scaling, I don't want to take a whole bunch of free checks. I don't know how fast it's going to grow. So it's like, all right, well, we'll start pretty normal, vanilla style. We're going to loot some, we're going to check some shops. But the minute I went into Narsh and went into that back room and saw Lone Wolf, it's like, oh, it's now open gate. We are no longer doing gated checks. It is, everything's open. And that can always be tough in itself because there's so many checks then to work through. And then after that, I went to the few shops and I'm like, there are items here that cost 2 GP. So I'm like, okay. And I think I should have taken that as a stronger hint, and I regret, I don't mind doing Sealed Cave, I regret how much looting I did there, because it was all at the shops. That's really where all the stuff was. So I wish I had gone and just done the Sealed Cave quick, and then just gone shop hunting, instead of spending the time looting like I did. After that, I did try, because you never know if Y remove is on, and you never know if B sprint shoes is on. I tried using B, walked slow. I'm like, okay, well, I could maybe find sprint shoes out there, because then it would walk fast. And then Y remove, I think, did some sort of copy of a sprite. I don't even know which one it is.
Yeah, I think it might have been Y NPC set to like your own party or whatever. Jefe just finishing 133.37, so.
Well, it was close.
Yeah, you guys stepped on the switches at basically the same time. You were almost synced. Your higher levels allowed you to cruise through some of the tiers a little bit faster than Jefe had. So I think that's what did it for you for sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, those high levels, I could survive anything. So it was just push DPS as fast as I could and not even worry about the consequences.
Another thing that you may not have ran into that Jefe did, he forgot to swap a Moogle charm right at the end, got in a random encounter right before stepping on the switches, and ran into a ghost train, which kind of slowed him down right before the final fight.
Oh, so there was some monster bosses at sea.
Yeah, so their bosses were mixed into the random encounters, which is always fun.
Yeah, I also really like the Marvel shoes in this one, since there was no magic, so no healing except for a little bit of Magitech. And Marvel shoes provided that speed and healing.
Yeah, that's definitely. I think that helped you out in that final fight over Hefe. You equipped all of your characters with that, and you were really moving and not worrying about it. So I have a question for you, Narvs. With the open world, how'd you decide what check to go to first? And like, what areas of the world do you like?
Oh, I wish I had a nice clean cut strategy on that, but mostly it was I like Imperial Camp first. It's a all enemy check, no bosses. It's just a safer bet to get some early grind fights in. And then after that, it was just Doma Castle was close, the Falls was close. It was more of what was close, and I knew was quick. So not many multi checks. Most things where you can just walk in, do it within the first less than a minute. Of walking into the check and doing it. Other than that, it was kind of just a rough guess. Oh gosh, I remember this is a quick check. Okay, I'll go do this one quick. Oh, this is nearby. I'll just do this one. That was most of my planning on that. Try and stick away from like Floating Continent, Phoenix Cave, all the really long checks that, you have to deal with in gated, but you can just ignore for the most part in open world.
Yeah, for sure. And then also, did you have a plan going into with the unlock of the two of either dragons, espers, or characters? Did you have a plan going into it, which one you wanted to do, or just once you started eating up those espers, you decided, you know what, I'll just go for those?
I did not. I knew the 3 dragons because that's by far the easiest. 1, either to get them just out in the open world, or 2, because there's 2 in the tower itself. But it was more of, what characters and espers do I come across? Do I see a bunch of characters? All right, well, let's just do character checks. I found a bunch of espers. All right, let's stick with checks that are more likely to be espers. Like Magitech Facility, the first 2 checks can only be espers. Things like that. I tried to then, and I was pooling more espers, I felt like, than I was characters, and 6 is enough characters to deal with going through the tower. So I hugged the esper checks.
We're also joined by Jefe, who finished second place in the Chaos Tournament of the Month. GG's to you, sir. That was a crazy race. Tell us a little bit about your strategy with the mystery chaos, where we don't know what the flags are. Kind of tell us a little bit about what your strategy is, fumbling around in the dark a little bit there.
Well, apparently second place is where I like to be, 2 months in a row. So, but I lost to 2 good runners, so I'm not upset about it. Maybe a little bit, but not too bad.
Just a little salt. Just slight salt.
Yeah, just a little salty. But yeah, as far as the mystery standpoint, there's ways that you can kind of figure out things. So like that's why I took the early fight to see kind of what I was up against and how hard enemies were hitting. I didn't want the fight for experience or anything else. I just wanted to know what they were doing. And then, shortly after that, I was fighting Goddess and got Ultimate, and I was like, okay, that's not good. Maybe I should not do experience eggs, because that was kind of my thought behind that, was if it's party average and they've got crazy scaling, then I'm going to start seeing Ultimas and Fallen Ones from, anything.
Yeah, the elemental ability scaling was definitely cranked so that they learned really, really nasty abilities right away. And that was definitely evident right there with that.
The bigger problem for me wasn't necessarily the mystery in this one. It's open world. I do not like open world. And Jones, if you happen to be watching, please make me a ungated tag for Seedbot so that I don't have to deal with open worlds.
Yeah, we were looking through, or at least I was looking through the code of what Seedbot tends to run, and there's a 1 in 8 chance that you can get an open world seed with Chaos. So we unfortunately got the 1 out of that 8. So that's sort of it does make some of the checks a little samey, like you guys are both in Imperial Camp at the same time. But sort of the strategies were a little bit different, where Narvs tended to just go, hey, let me get my fastest checks out of the way and then see what my Esper and character count was, where I think you took on dragons a little bit earlier in the seed than your opponent did. What was sort of the thought process behind that there?
I wanted offerings.
Yeah,
fixed
yes.
That was literally the thought process. Is I assumed that they can drop offerings, and I couldn't find them, so I just said, I want offerings. I'm going to go kill these dragons. Because ultimately, had I had an offering, a lot of those fights would have gone a lot quicker. Even one that I could have, tossed around through the tower would have made everything so much easier the way I had my tower set up.
Yeah, so we did notice you going to check on the Bum Rush last flag when you got both Locke and Mog that had Blitz. So you were looking for offense outside of eating those ice shields at everything as well.
Yeah, that was kind of the plan. Ice shields, and also I'm not honestly a fan of the no priceless items flag. I'd prefer to, have to pay for them or them not be in shops at all.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, I'm happy to use them, but it's kind of a...
I like the no priceless items flag being off. I just would rather not be able to buy the shields in the shop, right? Sure, give me all the Genji gloves I like, but ice shields in a shop, no thanks.
Right, and that kind of threw me off too, because then I shopped a little more because I'm like, well, I wonder if there's thunder shields. I wonder if there's flame shields. I wonder if there's paladin shields. I mean, not knowing any of that,
right?
And being late to the party on finding everything else could be detrimental in these flags for sure.
Yeah, so I noticed both of you guys also went extra ham at the relic shops looking for peace rings. So Narvs, is that sort of part of your thought process when you saw the auto muddle after 4 checks objective and said, well, I need something to mitigate this now, thank you very much?
Oh, 100%. I was not excited about that muddle, nor am I excited. I would agree with the open world. I am not a fan of having all those checks at my fingertips. But it sounds like we did our shops kind of backwards, because I didn't get those shields till late because I had not checked the places that didn't have relic shops. And the last place I felt like I checked for relic shops was those peace rings. I felt like I was running behind on that end.
Well, one of my problems not knowing the flags too, which is, the whole point of doing the mystery, which I enjoy, was the first first free check I went to was dead.
Right.
So therefore I assumed it was no free progression. But of course you can't see one check and then assume that it's no free progression, because obviously it wasn't in this flag set. So that kind of threw me off a little bit. So I didn't go to Shadow's check. I didn't go to Edgar's check till much later. And at that point it would have probably steered me towards Esper's had I not had the first one be dead. Not making excuses, but that's
sure.
my train of thought.
Well, you guys both took different routes to get to your go mode, whereas Jefe got go mode at the South Figaro Cave after getting a couple more characters. So I guess we asked Narvs a little bit about, did you see the characters in Espers and automatically go towards one or the other? So Jefe, was that the same for you? You saw, 9 characters and thought, yeah, I can get to 9 faster than I can get to 14 Espers.
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning, if I was going to do peekable checks, I would have gone straight for characters, was kind of my thought process. But, like I said, and especially having no free progression, or at least I thought we had no free progression, that was my plan, was to go that way. I wouldn't necessarily turn down an Esper, but like my first Espers were Fenrir, and I think Siren was like within the first 3 or 4, so I was like, I really don't need anything else.
Right.
Yeah, I was definitely looking characters, but I wasn't gonna, I wasn't married to it.
And then
if the Espers came, they came,
And then last question from me for both of you. We'll start with Narvs first. How did not being able to learn magic spells at all affect sort of your builds in this seed? I think it would have been much more difficult had we not found those ice shields, but were you looking for other offense other than that at some point throughout the seed because of the fact that we weren't learning any spells at all?
Yeah, I thought I knew Magitech could be unlocked, and starting with Edgar and Magitech, I'm like, all right, we got one solid person that can use spell type like abilities, things that are all the elements. So I thought abilities were going to be a way bigger factor in this seed when I saw the first, 3 or 4 Espers didn't have spells on them, nor could I learn it off a curse ring. I think I tried to learn a curse ring and realized that wasn't an option either. Then it was working on my physical. Fixed dice kind of worked. Shock, we got early on with Terra. So that was abilities is kind of where I was going to try and lean towards until I found the ice shields, and then that just didn't matter anymore.
Yeah, so same thing for you, Hefe. Were you looking in shops a little bit later on for big, sharp, stabby things to supplement your ice shields without having magic?
I prefer big pointy sticks over magic builds, and that's to my detriment a lot because magic is very powerful in FF6, and that's just kind of one of my flaws, so to speak. I just prefer an Atma weapon, an Illumina, a Ragnarok, or dice over, casting spells. So for me, it wasn't that big of a deal, but, I could see it could cause issues. Once I found the ice shield, I was like, okay, I'm going to go to Fanatic's Tower and kill the dragon there, and there happened to be a character there, which is why I ended up doing it. So, I thought ice shields, if it's the ice dragon, I've got Yumaro who will just smash, and I had Bahamut at that point, so I wasn't too concerned. But yeah, magic is not... I generally try not to build around magic just because it's so hit or miss especially with Chaos Seeds on how many spells go on an Esper and if they're tiered, and you'll just find a bunch of garbage Espers, or if it's just blacked out altogether. So
Yep. Papa Shango, you got questions for our two Chaos finalists for this one?
No, I think you guys pretty well covered all the questions that I had. I just want to say congratulations to Narvs and Jefe. Was a great race. You guys, it was a very close, entertaining race. You both did excellent work during it.
Thank you. Thank you guys for commentary and running
yes, thank you very much. Without y'all, this race would have just been another race. But thank y'all for putting it on. And Narvs, congratulations on the win.
Thank you, and thanks for running with me.
Absolutely, anytime.
Yeah, so thank you guys for running the race. We can't have the race without the runners, that's for sure. For Papa Shango for helping me out with commentary, trying to figure out this mess that we had. This was, I think, a bit more chaos than usually the Chaos Seeds have, with some of the options making it radically different, because I know that some of our previous 2 weeks have just been slogs of fights with bosses with huge HP pools. So I'm glad we didn't get that, but we did get some other really, really off-the-wall things here. So that was fun to showcase and to see. So thank you guys for running. Narvs, congratulations. Jefe, you will get them in September. I guarantee it. But
sounds good.
But thank you guys, and we'll see you two later.
All right,
thank you.
Have a good one. Thank you.
All right, so Papa Shango, we got anything else we want to chat about before we get the heck out of here?
No, I don't think so. Just the chaos was definitely really interesting, definitely entertaining, especially with the mystery. I think it's a great tournament, and so hopefully we get more of these going on in the future.
Yeah, and just to be clear, not every seed is mystery. Every seed at least has the chaos parameter that you kind of see up here on the screen. But some of the other parameters are dictated by whomever comes in first place from the previous week. So Jefe won last week's seed, so he wanted to do the mystery and loot, because you heard him say how he likes the mystery aspect of trying to solve the seed as you're trying to play it. There are a bunch of different parameters that you could use on Seedbot in our Discord. So go ahead and join our Discord if you're not already there, and get access to this fun bot with some of the different things and knobs and whistles and bells you could tweak here. So yeah, that I think will do it for us. Thank you so much, chat, for hanging out with us and enjoying us on this random Friday afternoon as we finish the Chaos Tournament of the month. The new tournament will start up next week, I think, because next week is September, right? Can I calendar? Yes, next week is September. So we're going to be starting up a new room next month, and Narvs will get to pick what our starting parameters will be, because he is this month's Chaos Champion. Jefe coming in second place, just about a minute and a half behind Narvs. This is a really fun race to watch, Papa Shango.
Oh yeah, it was definitely a great race. You can't ask for anything else. You step at the switches at the same time, comes down to the last fight. It was great to watch.
All right, so that's going to do it for us. Thank you so much for watching and hanging out. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace out now.